Hello and welcome. I'm seeing some similar faces, some same faces from the 12 o'clock session, which is nice. So while we're just kind of letting everyone in and getting started, if you want to put your location into changing your name, put your location, it's always nice to see where everyone is. So feel free to do that.
If you're on the replay, you can skip ahead about a minute and a half and you'll get started. If you are in the live stream, keep in mind that all your comments and questions, I'll be private messaging them to Vidyadasa, so he will see them.
Thank you for that, Steve. So for those of you, we've got some hardcore EYP people here. As I said, I'm seeing the same faces. What are you guys looking forward to getting out of this session? Go ahead and put it into the chat, please. What are you looking forward to? What are you most looking forward to learning from Vidyadasa today on Yes, or just about EYP in general? All right. And you said we're live streaming, Steve? Yeah, we are. Okay, great. So anyone who's watching this on live stream, please feel free to share this. I'm not sure how you do that. Steve knows how to do that kind of stuff, but I know you can share your live stream. So if you want to share it across to your friends and family or whoever might be interested, please feel free to do that. And we'll be starting officially in about a minute. So again, if you want to put into the chat what you're most looking forward to learning today or gaining, and just out of curiosity, in the room, how many yoga teachers do we have? So if you want to put your hand up, say that you're a yoga teacher, or if you're a coach, maybe put two hands up. We know two hands are coaches, one hand is a yoga teacher. And you want to do a fist bump if you're just an everyday person and you're just here to see what this is all about. So you can fist bump it. Two hands coaches, one hand yoga teacher. By the way, I don't know if there's like somatic reasoning behind any of that. I just made that up. So don't read too much into that. All right. Okay, welcome everybody. We are officially going to get started. So hello, I'm Jamie, and I'll be your host this evening, and I'm helping out Vidyadasa, who will be taking you through the Yes pose. So learning deep acceptance, and we can find out what that's all about in our bodies, see what our bodies have to say about that. And if you have any tech issues, anything that's going on behind the scenes with your tech, please ask Steve in the chat and he will help you out, because I'm useless and I won't be able to help you with that. Okay, so as I said, I'm Jamie. I'm an embodied facilitator and coach. I also work in the realm of intimacy and relationship coaching. So welcome to all of you on Zoom. It's nice to see you. And if you are here in Zoom, in the room, it'd be great if you had your camera on. It gives Vidyadasa great feedback, and he can kind of really in a live way say what's happening or give suggestions about how you might be able to experience things differently. So if it feels good for you, please do so. And those who are on live stream, I'm sorry we can't see you. We will be receiving your comments, so please do keep commenting, and Steve will share those across. So if you do have questions, we'll be happy to answer those as we go through. So all right, so I've said about the live stream. And again, if you have any questions, please put them into the chat and we'll be reviewing them as we go through. And to give you a little context of this session is 1 hour long. And in this session, as I said, it's Yes with Vidyadasa. And in this hour, we're going to have, I like to compare it to like a sandwich. So the top layer of it is going to be how you use this in every day and how the everyday person can use it. The meat in the middle, or the veggie meat in the middle, or the vegetables, is going to be how coaches can use it. So how a coach will be able to apply this to their clients. And then the last part of it, the bottom slice of the bread, is going to be how a yoga teacher or anyone facilitating in a group setting might be able to use it. So we're going to squeeze that all together in one big yummy sandwich, and Vidyadasa is going to offer that up to you. And so that's what we'll be doing there. And I think, yeah, I've already asked who's coaches and yoga teachers, which is great. Okay, so this is a big one. This is really cool. If you want a opportunity to get our yoga teacher training, the EYP teacher training for free, if you go into the Facebook group, and Steve will put a little link in there, if you want to win a free spot at our teacher training, which is worth nearly $1,400 US, all you have to do is share it and tag a friend. So it's very little that you have to do to put yourself in. You might as well, and who knows, you can get all of this great training. And Steve is going to share a little video with us that tells you a little bit more about what the training can be like if you were to win it, or if you choose to buy it in the future. So I'll hand it over to you, Steve. What the EYP course for coaches has to offer you is a way to shift things from getting stuck in the head and getting into the body. These very simple forms can be done in normal clothing, in any setting, anywhere, and you can then begin to look at the patterns that might be keeping your clients stuck. As a coach, I use this mostly with my clients with intimacy and relationship and communication, and as soon as I get them to move from the cerebral part of the conversation and getting them down and into their body.
See yourself as you see other people, because I have a very critical eye at the moment.
So when you sign up, there's plenty of support available to you. We have a private Facebook group that you are welcome to join. We have monthly Q&A calls, so you get a lot of ideas of how other people are using the same things. I have to say, it's always really weird to see me in that video and then to be here. So anyway, there's your video. So if you want to learn any more about the various trainings that we have, because we have EYP for coaches or for yoga teachers and various packages, Steve will put a link in there for you. Okay, so let's enter in. So those who are entering in, we're going to enter into this next session with Vidyadasa. And Vidyadasa is a wonderful human being. I've known him for quite a while now. He is a senior embodied yoga principles teacher and teacher trainer. He's a web designer, a father who authored a book, and I know it's for fathers. So the fathers out there, check it out. It's a great book. I'm not a father, but I know Vidyasa's work, and it's all worthwhile. He shares Buddhist-inspired embodiment-based practices and also does mindfulness-based hatha yoga with groups and individuals to facilitate body and mind transformation. And I will leave him in your very capable hands, and you can experience some of his magic right here and now. So enjoy. And like I said, if you need anything, just type it into the chat.
Thank you, Jamie. So many words about a human being. It's always a bit weird, isn't it, hearing people talk about you and who you are and what you do. So welcome, everybody. If you're in the Zoom, just have a little look around at these lovely beings that you are with. In a way, that's a little saying yes right now, because you're giving your attention and awareness to these other human beings. If you are there, if you can show your video, that would be great. No worries if not, you may have a reason not to, but just opening our eyes and accepting the people in front of them. We may not know who they are or where they are and what's going on for them at all, but just acknowledging these other human beings. And if you are watching the live stream right now, maybe you can just be aware of people around you or the space that you're in, and just kind of creating a little bit of a quality of opening and accepting, just kind of saying yes with our eyes, perhaps. So as you will have guessed, this session is all about saying yes, but with this kind of quality of acceptance. Now, obviously, in a way, we need to accept something to be able to say yes. Otherwise, we're going to be kind of blocking it on some level. And there's lots of different things we can say yes to in our life. And there's also a very kind of deep, broad thing of saying yes to actually life itself. And we're going to cover some of these different aspects, the big, broad, the deep, as well as really specific focused things as well. And I'm going to invite you at various times to make choices about what you want to focus on. And as part of that, and a part of you taking care of yourself, I'm going to really invite you to be careful what you choose. Whilst saying yes and acceptance on one level are a kind of simple thing to do, they're also deeply profound. And as you may have already experienced with EYP, it works very well. In fact, we always kind of joke that it works too well. So it can bring up emotional things and mental things. So when I ask you to choose a theme or something, choose something that maybe gives you a little response, but it's not going to make you overwhelmed and you're going to be shaking in the corner of them, crying your eyes out and hating me and hating everybody else on the planet. So hopefully, I really mean that. I'm joking, but choose something that you can manage, okay? Some of us are in kind of intensity junkies and we kind of go straight for the meat of the sandwich and straight for the intensity. And it's not always wise, you know. And we're going to do a few warm-ups. I'm going to do the pose in a few different ways. So you'll get a chance of being able to kind of calibrate things up or down. And I really encourage you to kind of listen into your body's wisdom, because your body's going to reveal things to you. And you might kind of have a sense of, no, I'm going to ease off that one, or yeah, no, I can handle that. I'm going to go there today. And obviously, if you're watching a replay, same thing. And if you're watching the live stream and you're not in Zoom, obviously I can't see you, so I don't know what you're doing. Obviously, you can write things in the chat and people will respond to your questions there, and some of those might get fed through to me. And I want this to make this as relevant to you as possible. So to kick that off, what I'd like to ask the people in the Zoom room, if you can just say a few things that you would like to say yes to. So it could be, for example, a food, type of drink, a book, a movie, or it could be kind of deeper and bigger things like a job or a person or change in COVID restrictions or whatever it might be. So if you could put a few little things in the chat, that would help me to have a sense of where you're at and what might be helpful to turn towards. So somebody's saying, having my own back. Ileana, I think that is. Great, so a few other things. Making money, yeah, good one to say yes to, obviously. Unknown, visibility, abundance. So I guess that's more on the level of acceptance, Casey, I'm guessing. Like to say yes to changing my worldview, biggie. To bringing my kids for a visit to Italy. Oh, you got me there, Jamie. I can't go to Italy yet either. My partner's from Italy, so another one. Saying yes to my capacities, Kaya, nice one. Trusting myself. Travel, yeah, who else wants to travel? A few of us, right? Well, we can travel in heart and mind. We can all pretend we're in where Jamie is in Italy now. Maybe you can just show us where you are, Jamie, so we all feel jealous and joy for you. Now we'll go for sympathetic joy. Sympathetic joy for Jamie right now. That's what's possible again in the future at some point. Anyway, coming back to now, but we will use our imagination as well in this to bring that quality of acceptance to beauty as well. So that's a nice reminder. Thank you for that, Jamie. Right, so the basic pose of yes, in some ways is quite simple. I'm going to demonstrate in a moment, and Jamie will probably also demonstrate from a side view for me as well. It's kind of, often we do it standing. You can also do it seated as well if you wish. I'm going to guide us into it. You can watch first and then we'll all do it together in a moment. So just if Jamie and I kind of demonstrate. Now I want to say I've got you on a small screen and also a big one as well. So if you see me looking down or up and it looks a bit weird, that's why. So we have our hands out the side, almost as though we've kind of taken our hands out of our pocket and gone like that, yeah? And we're going to lean back onto the back foot. I don't think you can see my back foot. Let me adjust my camera a little bit. Being a naughty man, I've got my shoes on the yoga mat. I'm leaning back on my back foot. My hands are open at the side. My chest and my face is forward. So there's a slight concave in my chest, almost though I'm kind of creating a cave-like shape in my heart and my back. And then I would kind of open my mouth and my gaze to kind of create a quality of softness and openness. So in some ways, it's quite a simple form. And really the layers of depth come into our ability to be aware of what's happening within us and sense those sensations, and in a way kind of take off layers of resistance that might be there or not. Right, so I'm going to invite you to come into it physically. So if you'd like to join me, you can stand up. I'm just going to move all of you onto a bigger screen so I can see you all. Bear with me one moment.
And if you'd like to see the side view, then I'm speaking so that way the live stream can see what a side view is like.
Brilliant.
Side view.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, so if you start with your feet together and kind of hip width apart, and then take one step back, doesn't matter which side, and bring the weight more onto that back foot. So kind of bringing the weight back. And then taking the hands out, just something like 30 degrees out from the side, so we're not up here or here. It's just out from there. It's almost as though you're taking your hands out of your pockets. And the palms of the hands can be quite soft, so we're not really intensely reaching, and we're not making a fist, creating a sort of softening and opening. If it helps, you can imagine that you're holding a really beautiful flower or something. Good. And then create this kind of quality of softness across the chest if you can, and kind of openness there. Slight concave in your back, so you can see Jamie's got a slight curve in her back, so it's kind of receptive. It's kind of a yin pose, we call it yin pose. And in the face, see if you can allow the skin across your face to be soft and smooth. If you like, you can open your mouth and move the mouth around a little bit, let the tongue soften. And also we can use our voice in EYP. So if you're willing, you can say yes. Or you can do a gentle sigh, like, ah. Yes. And you can do it in your first language, whether that's ya or da or danke or whatever that might be. Yes. And see if you can create a quality of softening, opening. And sometimes the first thing we notice is actually little tightnesses and tensions. Like I notice a little tightness in my belly, yeah, or a little bit in my chest, probably because I'm being watched by beings there. But sometimes it's just little tightnesses connected to feelings or sensations. Remember, you can always change over if you start to feel uncomfortable at all. And then you can also create a quality of openness in your eyes. So imagine, if you like, that you're standing where Jamie is and you've got this beautiful view in front of you. A vast view, or perhaps it's in front of the sun and you imagine the sun coming into your body. See if you can allow that in, kind of saying yes to that. Yes. Letting yourself kind of arrive here, feeling your body, sensing it. Just be here for a few more moments. Notice what that feels like and whether that's kind of familiar for you, that quality, or whether it's unfamiliar. And perhaps whether you like it or don't like it. And you can swap over if you want. Okay, so in a moment, let's just shake out. Good, nice, some great shaking going on there. So now, well, it'd be interesting to hear, what did you notice in that? So if you just put in the chat any little observations you noticed. That could be physically about what that was like in your body, or it could be any thoughts you had, or it could be emotions that you felt. So just any initial kind of observations that you noticed there. So I want to just close my eyes, slowly. I felt happy, had to smile, nice. Feels good. More tension in my hands, kind of difficult, felt heat and heaviness in my hands. Yeah, so you'll probably get a range of different things. Felt needed, resistance, tightness in my legs, but emotionally it felt good. Didn't fight the not worthy feeling with this one. Good. Yielding felt comfortable. Usually I struggle with that quality. Even with loose hands, my hands felt heavy with energy. It was good. Hard to say yes when you're used to avoiding, judging, resisting, wanting to close my eyes. Pain in my heart, start to cry. Yeah, so even we're doing it once, it can bring strong feelings to the surface. So do be careful there. Feeling content, emotionally balanced. Nice to feel openness in my body at the front. Felt a beaming smile come over my face. And then Rita, a bit scary, very visible. Yeah, so it kind of brings quite a lot just in a short moment. So on the one hand, as I was saying, it's quite simple, but on another level, quite a lot of depth can come quite quickly, and a real range. You probably saw quite a range of different responses there, from lovely, big, smiling, open, to others like you can feel quite vulnerable. It's almost like you're being seen. You're allowing your body, your being, to be open. And that can be really challenging. Obviously, we've all got different history, particularly if there's any kind of trauma there, or just difficulties of being in the presence of others. So it's really important you don't give yourself a hard time if you're experiencing any of those things. Again, come back to that quality of acceptance and trying to kind of be with what your actual experience is. I know for myself, I've often got a little bit of tightness and tension in the belly. I've got quite an anxious, sort of nervous disposition. I have to really work at kind of, okay, soften, breathe in the belly, let my breath be normal and deep. And so that's quite a constant practice for me. I mean, people often think, oh, he seems quite calm, but actually under the surface, I'm having to do quite a lot of work just to be present and aware. And I know I'm not alone in that. So Michelle's saying it works so quickly. Well, yes, visible. Feeling of looking for if there is a threat somewhere, kind of reserved feeling. Yeah, exactly. So it can be those things where you're kind of a little bit on edge. Am I safe enough to be relaxed here? Is it okay to take off my guard? And I felt that with a really close friend I was with this morning. I was like, hold a minute, I've known this guy for years. I trust this guy of my life, but still there's this little, oh, am I okay? Am I okay? It's the kind of animal layer of being. So anyway, enough words. What I'd like to invite you to do, we'll do it another time, where I invite you to actually think about something in specific that you would like to say yes to or accept. Okay, so just have a little momentary think before we go into it, so you've got something to kind of frame in reference to. If you can't think of anything, just come back to accepting yourself, accepting and being aware, being present here where you are now. If you're in a Zoom room, can you just nod your head if you've got something? Yeah, okay. Great. Okay, so let's do it again. Before we go in, if you do want to do it seated, you can do it seated. Just be kind of equal weighted and have your hands, on your lap, perhaps with the palms up. So there's always an option to do it seated. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to invite you back to the posture. Join if you're at home. Again, Jamie, if you're willing to go into position. If you want to add anything into I'm saying, feel free. I'll do it facing forwards. So coming back, so you can, again, it's good to start equal weighted, feet approximately hip width apart, and then take one foot back. You can slightly turn the back foot out, that helps for balance. And opening the palms out, so trying to create that quality of opening. One thing you can do is kind of lightly clench the fist and then open them. So you've got the little action of opening. It's kind of like you're creating a gesture. You're inviting openness. Try and keep the elbows soft. And create a softness in the front of the body. So become aware of the front of your body, allowing that to soften from the chest, the ribs, and the belly. Breathing deep down into the belly. Allow the jaws to soften, opening the eyes, peripheral awareness. And then if you'd like to, you can say yes. or yes in your
Yes.
first language, or a sigh.
Yes.
Bringing to mind what it is you would like to say yes to. Then choose something that's not going to overwhelm you. Choose something that would be helpful for you now. Yes. Notice what that feels like in your body. Allow yourself to have a response. Be curious, be open as much as you can. See if you can accept it and allow it. Notice if you've got any armor, kind of any holding on. Sometimes there's wisdom in that, another time it's just a habit. You can slowly let go of. Being here, being present, accepting this very moment now. And maybe there's something beautiful in front of you. Maybe it's these beautiful beings in front of you, or maybe you can imagine something of beauty, glowing sunlight perhaps. Allowing it in, allowing whatever you're saying yes to come in. Good. And when you feel ready to, you can slowly move out of that. Just be aware of what arose there. Sometimes I like to bring one hand onto belly, one hand onto heart, just to kind of really, really connect with how I am now. Quite a nice kind of way of kind of feeling that sense of connection and trust as well. Checking in with yourself as well, always a good one. So as you're doing that, just have a little think about how was that? Is there anything you'd like to share? You can come back to the screen.
Vidyadasa, I just wanted to mention that for any of the yogis in the room, in yes, it's really easy to want to lift the chest and really arch back. I know I want to because I have 20 odd years of yoga under my belt, and so this is what I want to do, but that's a different pose. And so to really notice that in yourself, to really allow the chest to be concave and to soft. I know I'm always battling that in yes. So for the yogis, it might be wired into you to want to do this, but to keep that soft.
Nice one. Thank you, Jamie. Very good point. So it's a subtle difference, but it makes quite a difference. And we've got another posture called enthusiasm, where the chest is really forwards. I might touch upon that in a little while. Great. So I'm just going to have a little look at the chat. In fact, Steve, would you be willing to read a few of these out? Or are you otherwise tasked? Maybe Jamie could do it. Yeah, Jamie, would you be happy to read a few of these out? And Steve can carry on doing his stuff.
Sure. I have, let's see. As I was saying yes to my capacities, I on the other hand said yes to accept my insecurities.
Right.
Yearning, said one person. Tried it, modified sitting. This time I felt relief, taken care of. Another says saying yes to my future and felt panicky and tight in my chest. Someone else says, and that made me want to cry because I have no reason why I have always denied that, only fear, which I allowed, and then the fear dissolved. And we also have love and care without having to earn it.
Nice. Thank you, Jamie. And then somebody's written, I think Cecilia, I've had a really hard time accepting some life circumstances. I expected this to be hard. Instead, I just can't help smiling. I think it might be connected to the chest not having to open forwards. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so as you can see, there's kind of themes there, and that will kind of come out or not. It's like they will reveal themselves, and sometimes we'll feel like, oh, crikey, that's quite sensitive. Yeah, so don't worry if you're kind of feeling a bit vulnerable, do take care of that. And again, always coming back to this is a really nice thing to do for there. Feel like baby steps, yes, with a soft chest, something very humbling about letting the chest relax. Yeah, great. So I wanted us to kind of have a, an experience of doing the pose. Thank you for that and for kind of diving in. I know some of you are quite touched by that. Now, if you're a coach, there's various things you can do with this, as you can imagine. There's a whole array of kind of questions you could ask to make things really specific to explore particular themes. If you're a coach, actually, and you want to, if you've already got some ideas, you want to put some things into the chat, you can refer to those if you like. And again, it might be to accept a situation that's difficult or challenging, working one-to-one with somebody where you've got, a chunk of time, an hour and a half, whatever it is, to really explore something, go deep into it. It's a great tool to do that, going in and out of the pose, inquiring more deeply, maybe doing other EYP poses to support them or to bring out other qualities as well. So we might do a contrast, like a no pose against, with a yes pose, to kind of feel what are the differences and kind of going in between those or another, or doing a more enthusiasm pose rather than a kind of more softer back one. Somebody's saying, when a client says they want something back, but it's not happening in their life, you can check where the issue to saying yes is. Yes, exactly. And again, peeling off those layers, inquiring more into it. Permission to lean in to change and transformation, particularly as it relates to decisions like substance use, smoking. Yeah, and again, you could really explore that well with the yes or the no. Again, it might be really challenging and full on, but you can really go there with these poses. A great kind of language for that. And as you can probably imagine, sometimes we need to actually accept something really deeply, and include can be quite a loss or quite difficult and intense. It's almost like go through the ashes or something for, the kind of phoenix to rise out of the ashes. So there might be a bit of a grieving, a loss, a letting go, and we might use other postures like surrender that you might see in some of the other classes to encourage those qualities out before a kind of new inspiration might arise in relationship to it. And examples, it could be working for a change in a role of a job. So, for example, it's like, a lot of people have been furloughed, for example, and now some of them coming back to work, and it's like, oh, that's a real change. I've been working at home in my own room, and now I've suddenly got to be in a room with a whole host of other people, or back in communication with people. How do I accept that? Do I want to accept that? You're going to have a whole inquiry process around, do you want to or do you not? Or do you want to exit like we were doing in entering earlier? You could go towards or move away. So with EYP, you can create a whole flow as well. Almost give it like a little prescription sometimes of 3 or 5 postures. Right, you need to let go of something. Great, okay. You need to open something. Yeah, right. You need to move forward something. Yeah, use entering. So exploring those to find what might work. So I've got a few other questions here. For clients with businesses who are selling their service and product to receive payment, clients who are delegating and being supported by a team, saying yes to support. Yeah, and actually there's a couple of really nice things you can do there. So often people, maybe they're starting out in the business, or they're starting out with something and they're actually having to ask for a change in price, for it's like, oh, I'm actually increasing the hourly pay or the price or whatever, and actually inviting it in and saying, yeah, okay, actually $150 an hour, and then you can notice what happens when you kind of say yes to that, whether it's a tightness or a tension or whatever, things of that, whatever that might be. Something there. And yeah, being supported by a team. Now, again, with EYP, there's some really lovely things you can do in pairs and groups, often in group workshops. In some of the videos on the Embodied Yoga Teacher training one, the one for yoga teachers, we've got examples whereby there might be 10 people and we kind of create a, what's the correct word, Jamie? Where you've got
a flow?
No, so we might create like there's 10 people there. Maybe one person is needing to be supported to say yes. So maybe
like a diorama where
that's the word. Thank you. Not a drama, but a diorama. So maybe somebody's in doing yes. Maybe somebody else might be doing no in front of them. Maybe somebody has got a hand on their back to support them. Or you might have a few people. You know, another nice one with this is with couples. You can have two people side by side, both doing yes pose, with their hands out, but maybe they're holding hands. You know, for example, if it's a partnership or you're doing relationship coaching or something, they could be holding their hands there. Maybe they're trying to invite a baby into their life, for example, or they're thinking about going on holiday or getting married or something. They can hold hands there, or one hand on the back and openness at the side. So there's a lot you can kind of play with that basic principle of saying yes, and then taking away the blockages or resistances to accepting that.
and also Vidyadasa, I put this in the chat as well for anyone who wanted to see, but the understanding a yes is actually saying no to other things. And I think people often feel it the other way around, that by saying, and this is true as well, that by saying no, you're saying yes to other things. But yes can be a boundary as well. So by the things that you're saying yes, that can also be a boundary. And that's a perfectly acceptable boundary to have yes to certain things, which also means no to other things.
Yeah, they're really good. And you'll see that in a lot of the other postures. You know, some of the other postures we've got, like kind of care pose, where you're taking care of what's here. You're kind of saying yes to what's here, but you're also saying no and keeping things out there. And there's a variety of other ones where you'll kind of have similar boundaries to explore. Yeah, you did that. Thank you. So Chris Sanchez, you've written womb. Can you say a little bit more about that? Yeah. She's typing in there. Creating a womb for the client in the middle of the room. Yes, yeah, makes it a womb room. Yeah, exactly. So kind of creating a safe space that something can be birthed in a way by the kind of care and attention and acceptance and love that you're giving and creating there, to allow them to go through a process to then come out into their life with those skills. So as you know, in a way, EYP is really about trying to take whatever skills you create in the practice off out into the rest of your life. So why don't we do another go? Yes. Can you have a think about something? So you could do this in a couple of ways. I mean, either, again, if you want to come to a specific focus thing, you know, and maybe you've been calibrating in a particular way. Maybe if you've been going super, super gentle, maybe notch it up a little bit. If you've been, so turn the fire up a little bit. If you've been going a bit too intense, maybe ease the fire down a little bit. Try and find some kind of theme that actually is really relevant to you. What would help you today for the rest of your day, or the rest of your week, or the month ahead, or the year ahead, for you to say yes to? So have a little think about what would make a difference to you today in that process. So again, if you can't think of something specific, you know, you could think about just being open and present now to whatever's arising. And then when you're ready, come into the pose. I'm trying to adjust the camera a bit again. So hands out the side, leaning back on the back foot, soft, open chest as much as you can, soften the face, peripheral vision. So try and be as aware as you can. Imagine a beautiful view that helps you. Or if you've chosen to be open towards a person, imagine that person right in front of you. You know, I could imagine my daughter and just kind of being open and almost like wanting to encourage her towards me, or to kind of give her a hug or something, if that's helpful.
Vidyadasa, I'm just looking at everyone doing the pose. Everyone watch that the palms aren't scooping up. The palms are flatter. The palms begin to scoop up. That's a different pose that's going into say giving or receiving. So watch that the hands aren't scooping up, but instead are flat, fingers are pointing more towards the earth than they are in front of you. So just wanted to catch that for people to see if that changes your experience.
Yeah, great, nice. And then the arms aren't kind of forwards or really back, they're just kind of level with the hips coming out the side. Good. So what can you say yes to? What would really help you to say yes to? Or what can you accept? What can you allow in? Find a phrase that helps you. Weight kind of 60% back, if that helps to use percentages. Yeah. Saying yes, allowing openness. And then whilst you're there, see if there's specific things you could think about doing over a particular period of time. For example, you might go, okay, this week I'm going to do that. Or I'm going to take these specific steps to do that thing. To allow yes. What could you do in your life to allow more of a yes to this thing you've got in mind or this person you've got in mind? Make it something you can actually practice and concretely know that you're doing.
And this is also something really quite subtle in your yes as well. Notice what your tongue is doing, and if there's tension in the tongue, and seeing if you can, if by softening the tongue, if that allows you into your yes a little bit more.
Great, yeah, so there's a lot of subtleties that come out. So you can allow the elbows to be out away from the body, palms opening. Okay, so just notice whatever's arisen for you. And we're going to come out of that, maybe shake out a little bit, walk around a little bit, or bring your hands to the belly and the heart, whatever's helpful. Now, when you're in these states, sometimes you can get real kind of lucid clarity about a particular thing that you're focusing on. And sometimes that's really non-verbal. It's hard to kind of find the words to communicate afterwards. You know, so I might invite somebody to kind of draw, or you could even dance it out or write it out, whatever it might be. Finding some way to kind of make a note of it that you can then take away and explore afterwards. But you can also be really helpful as a coach to kind of set an action during that state. In a way, it's kind of a bit tricky to do with so many of you to not get feedback or whether to do something live. But you could be asking somebody, it's okay, so how are you going to act on that? You know, if you want to be more open in relationship to that person, what are you going to do? Are you going to buy them flowers? Are you going to create a meal? Or what things will you do to make steps towards that happening? Yeah. And we might also offer like a little prescription of, okay, let's do yes pose, you know, even for a minute or a few minutes every morning, 4 or 5 times a week, and see what difference that makes. Or you could even do it throughout the day. And you can do like what we often call micro poses, where it might just be you're sitting and in your pocket, you could just, instead of having a palm like a fist, you could just open the palm, or just slightly cave your chest in a little bit, or soften the tongue a little bit, just to allow a little bit more yes and openness in. So little small micro gestures in a way that just remind you of the bigger pose and the quality that you want to try and embody and bring into your life. Yeah, so Jamie's written, specificity is the key for your actions. Yeah, make it, you're probably familiar with that phrase, a SMART goal. So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic target. So something you can actually measure and go, yeah, I'm doing that. It's a realistic thing for you to do. It's target, I'm going to do it, or it's in a time frame or something. Where are we time-wise? Yeah, it's got about 10 minutes. So anybody willing to share what arose for them in that last little practice there? Could be anything. I'm open to whatever you bring. I'll do my best to be open anyway.
If you'd like Vidyadasa, I can read for you. A bit off topic, but is EYP about broadening to stances you are less comfortable with, increasing facility with your strength / poses you're natural with, or both?
Yeah, I mean, you can work with it in different ways. Generally, we've got this kind of principle of creating awareness. So awareness of our habits and tendencies, awareness of what we can actually do now, and then creating the choice to be able to create change. Because it's that thing, if we always do what we've always done, we're always going to get what we've always got. So, you know, if we've got a tendency of being really open, maybe we're too open and actually we need to put some boundaries in. Or maybe we're really a bit closed and actually we need to learn how to encourage openness. And then we can test out, well, what does adding that quality in our life bring? You know, so we can really test it out. I mean, there was a lovely a teacher that just kind of qualified quite recently. She said she did a yes pose every morning for a month. She said it's one of the best months she's had in her life because just all these opportunities started coming to her and going, oh yeah, right, yeah, I'm open to that. You know, and getting calls about different types of work and different things, and just like, wow, it's like magic. And you know, in a way, when we're open as a being, you know, all sorts of things can happen that if we'd previously been closed to, you know, we lose all these potentialities and possibilities. So some people say being open is akin to enlightenment, that full openness and acceptance would be enlightenment, you know, and not in any way, people are not always dealing with the spiritual realm or practice of yoga, but there's no real reason why we can't also include and attend to that if that's relevant to your practice and what you orientate your life around. So yes, Stanley's saying, I realize I need to do a bit more no to allow yes to happen. Great, boundaries are key. Yeah, and these things will come out in the practice really like, oh, crikey, I'm doing way too much of that. Hold on, no. And no is a great one. I'm not sure who's teaching no. It's really worth tuning into that one. It's super powerful. I mean, all sorts of changes happen in people's life and that. Chris, what came up? I was say yes to the phrase believing and knowing that I can, and fear dissolves and it comes back. Stare it down until it runs away with its tail between its legs. Brilliant. Yeah, nice. So there's something about that kind of being present with, being aware of any, you know, negative responses or something else that is kind of smaller, diminishing, less open, being aware of it, going, hold on a minute, I'm bigger than that. I can move forwards, I've got courage, and you can bring in other qualities. Oh, I've got courage, I've got strength, etc., etc. Yes, so Steve's just put no with Christina at 12 p.m. UK, 7 a.m. EDT tomorrow. So yeah, join Christina if you want to get a taste of no. Wonderful. So if you're sorry, last one, saying yes to accept my body functions the way it does now, made my hands sweat and I got warm. Yeah, great, good one. And I think this one's great for really accepting all sorts of things in our body. It's like I had a stinking headache at the beginning of this call, and it's like, oh well, let it in, allow it to be there, and it's a lot better now, you know, by turning towards it rather than trying to push it away and force it. You know, we've all got things, and it might be other examples of saying yes to a particular phase or stage of life. You know, it might be your perimenopause and all sorts of crazy stuff's going on with hormones, and it's like, oh, can't change this, just being with it, and it will change gradually, slowly by itself, blah, 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 etc. Now, if you are a yoga teacher, there's loads of nice ways you can blend this in. I mean, you've probably got a few ideas already if you're a yoga teacher. You've probably been sitting there going, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. I quite like to use it after a few opening things. So an opening circle, might do a few of these, and then come back into yes and acceptance. You know, and I might bring in the imagination, like imagine a glorious glowing sun, describing that with the hand, creating a quality of opening. Might do a sneaky little taking up space in there pose, and then coming back into yes. Okay, what do I want to say yes to in my life today? And it might be in a really light way. It might just be a simple touching upon that. You might not want to go full depth, 100%. I'm aiming for 100% acceptance. It might just be a few seconds of yes, saying yes into that. Or it could be, you know, going from tree, for example, you know, doing steady old tree, might lower your hands down. Okay, accepting you might not be able to do good balance today or whatever, and then coming down into, oh yeah. And you can also do it with feet equally weighted like this as well. You know, if you get discomfort leaning back onto the back foot, you can have equal weighted. There's always adaptations you can do for whatever, however your body is.
Another simple inquiry, Vidyadasa, is in a yoga class for the yoga teachers is, at the end of the class or at the end of sort of the more physical standing piece is to do a simple, going into a yes from whatever standing routine you're in. What do you need to say yes to be nourished for the rest of the day? It can be just something really simple like that. It doesn't have to be heavy and deep, but, what do you need to say yes to enjoy the rest of your day? What do you need, anything like that? That's a really great inquirer. Even at the beginning of the class, what do you need to say yes to get the most out of this class? Maybe that's, not thinking about your grocery list or thinking about where you need to run the kids afterwards. What do you need to say yes to in order to be here right now? And those are really simple ways to kind of weave it into a yoga class.
Perfect. Yeah, and literally you could do it beginning, middle, and end. Kind of state at the beginning. We're going to have a little theme of yes coming through this because it's a nice quality to explore in our class. Yeah, yes at the beginning. Come back to it after doing some more kind of warm ups and sun salutation. We'll come back to let's yes now. How is my body now? Have you been overdoing it? Not doing it enough? Have you been listening into your body again? Is there anything else you need to listen to and accept in your body now? And go there. And then at the end, and you could also do a lying down version of it as well in like kind of corpse pose, but with the hands out again, looking for the same quality, yes, and acceptance, So you can triple layer it and come from different angles and go for light, as we say, EYP light, just a little sprinkling of light EYP into a class, or go for the full depth charge explosion. But take care if you're doing that. Know what you're doing if you're doing that, and make sure you do all the usual health and safety things afterwards. So Patricia said,
I was going to say, someone in the chat said Shavasana is a bit like yes, and as you're doing corpse and death pose, this might be something for you to speak to as well.
Yeah, exactly. So on Thursday, I'll be doing the big double whammy of death pose and mortality and reflection on death, and in a way that can really help you say yes to life. So it's these two poses go quite well together. Yeah, good. I don't feel I've got a lot else to say. I don't know if anybody's got any queries or questions or whatever before Mr. New. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to add in, there was a little bit of a question. We haven't done enthusiasm yet, but a bit of the difference between the yin and the yang of enthusiasm and receiving. Like I sort of said, there's a quality of like letting a loved one in as opposed to jumping into a loved one's arms. But I don't know if you want to speak to the difference between them a little.
Yeah, sure. And actually, thank you, because it was something I was going to mention actually. And sometimes it can be hard to kind of feel the subtlety of yes and openness and acceptance. And it's quite back. It's kind of actively receptive. I wouldn't call it passive. Passive, I'm not going to let anything in. We're just going to so there needs to be an active invitation or receptivity. But enthusiasm, the chest is coming forwards and it brings a little bit of that passion forwards. And I quite like to do both. It's like, yes, in my heart lifting forwards and up. It's a very active yes, like yes, kind of orgasmic, full-blown, whole-bodied one. I mean, I can't remember who's teaching enthusiasm. Steve can probably tell us in a moment. But going between those two, being able to do that yes, and propelling myself forward, looking with love and passion and enthusiasm into my life. It's like the energy of spring and summer going, yes, I'm in Italy and it's beautiful. Or kind of, yes. I just kind of open to wherever the hell I am and the weather's a bit shit here, but I'll accept that. That's just as it is, So you can move forwards and up, back and down a little bit and explore that. Yay, and so active, passive, and well, along that scale of active and more receptive. Anyway, Mark's teaching enthusiasm. That's a great one to do with Mark, as you just explode with passion all across the screen. So get to that one if you can.
I think it would be great if everyone wanted to start giving their biggest takeaways from the session to Vidyadasa. What would you like to take away from what he's brought to you today, and or any remaining or last questions before we start heading towards winding up and wrapping up. So biggest insights, takeaways, again, being really specific. That's really helpful, not only for you, but also for everyone else, because other people, I never really thought about that. Or, you know what, that applies to me too. So it's group and shared learning at its best when we all share those. So go ahead and type those into the chat. That would be great to hear. And any last questions for Vidyadasa. Sorry, I'm stumbling stumbling a little bit here.
Thank you, Jamie. And yeah, you know, what are you going to say yes to the rest of your day? What's a little treasure to take away in the treasure chest of your heart?
So we have someone asking, what is the micro pose for this?
So it could just be, you know, if you're sitting, you know, it could just literally be opening the hands, you know, that might be in the pockets or whatever. I know men's clothes have more pockets than ladies, but, you know, just gently opening the eyes, you know, because, you know, often we're kind of gazing intently in one way or another, just almost like imagining, well, allowing yourself to take in as much of the room as you can. So you can try this now. Kind of look at the screen really intensely, look at a finger, focus, and then look back and take in the whole of the space that you're in. That's quite a nice thing to do. So changing your gaze from minor focus and then broad. I like to think of just softening the front line of my body from the throat down to the pubic bone, or imagining little arrows to expand my chest out, or using some other image like a sun, you know, imagine, you know, a little sun opening in the chest. Don't want to get too deep, but you know.
In the chat, we have beautiful to make, yes, active and with an intention, and then waiting for what happens. We have acceptance can be soft, water-like. I'm so used to fiery yeses, great practice. That I can use this to help fall asleep. And we have a whole host more from the live. So Vidyadasa, I'm going to let you go ahead and have a peek at those, and because I need to start wrapping us up, guys, for the sake of time. There are a lot of really beautiful things in there. So first of all, thank you, Vidyadasa, for taking us through yes and through that exploration through our bodies. As always, we're always in very capable hands with Vidyadasa. And just a reminder for you guys and gals, or whatever you identify as, that we have the free EYP teacher training course up for grabs, which is worth, you know, $1,400. You just have to head over to the Facebook page and share it and tag a friend to enter, and Steve will put that in there for you. And also a very gentle reminder that, you know, change is not always easy. However, if we start working through our body, that's where you're going to have a bigger impact. Changing how our monkey brain works is not always the easiest way. And anyone who's ever tried to change a habit or a thought or a pattern can definitely confirm this. I think we can all raise our hands. But when we start working through the body, we impact ourselves in a completely different way. So this work is deep and meaningful, and yet it can be very playful and light too. So if you'd like to support us, then, you know, this event is free. So please do continue to share it with your friends. There's still plenty more sessions left. And also we do have the master classes. They'll be up for sale afterwards. And we also have a few different coaching packages and packages for yoga teachers, depending on where you are on the spectrum with working in your body. And again, Steve will put up what's going on there in the chat. He'll go ahead and put it into the chat, so you can head there. And also a great reminder that if you don't have any experience working with the body, especially if you're a coach, that this is a fantastic way to begin, because you don't have to have a ton of experience. This is not athletic. You don't have to run marathons or do hardcore vinyasa yoga to be able to do any of this stuff. You can do this in normal clothing, in any setting, anywhere. I'm proof, you know, I'm sitting here in the middle of the countryside and I'm able to do it. So it's for everybody. Everybody who has a body can do EYP. And anyone who buys the package, any of the teaching packages, whether that's for coaches or for for yoga teachers, you get the embodied master classes for free to go with that. Steve's just putting all of that yummy, juicy stuff up there. So you can view it here on your screen. Great prices. Mark was teaching earlier. I was hosting. He was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that we're selling all this stuff for such, good value." So anyway, you do get a lot. You get a lot of support. We're a great community of people, and I can see there are a few teachers here today. So head over there to get all the deals, all the juice, and yeah. So we really want to thank you for taking the time to come and join us. You said yes to being here, and that's a start to working with your body. And to give you a heads up of what's coming next. So tonight at 10 p.m. we have, which is 2 p.m. PDT, we have surrender pose. And I'm sorry, Steve, you just made my screen go funny. I'm not sure who's teaching the surrender pose. My notes have disappeared. So we have surrender pose, I think being taught by Christina, maybe, but that's Laura from Laura.
Yeah.
Thank you. My notes disappeared. And so that's tonight at 10, and then we have another one at 2 a.m. inspiration pose. So that's what's up and coming. And Vidyadasa is doing death, as he said. I'm not sure which day that's happening.
Thursday, I think it's 12 noon UK time. Sorry, I'm rubbish at remembering other time zones. But yeah, dive in and join me, and I promise you that will be life enhancing as well.
Great, thank you. And if you want to catch me, I'm teaching tomorrow 9 a.m. and I'm teaching stand. So stand and yes go together in a big way, because sometimes if your yes isn't on, maybe it's because what you're stand for. If what your stand for isn't spot on, maybe it's because how you're saying yes or what you're saying yes to. So they can be really intertwined. So that's tomorrow at 9 a.m. UK time for those who'd like to join. So if there's anything else, Vidyadasa, that you'd like to share before we part ways and say thank you.
Just thank you all for coming. Thanks for diving in. I know it's a bit odd doing everything online and things, so thank you for opening your heart and going for it. And take good care of yourself after this. You might have gone quite more deep than you imagined, than you realized. Actually, it's very easy to go quite deep quite quick. So take good care of yourself and enjoy the rest of your day or evening or night or whatever it is. So yeah.
Great, thank you. And Steve, do you want to do a mass on mute so everyone can say thank you and goodbye? And your first language would be great. We like to hear our first languages.